Mikayla's really somebody who exemplifies what it means to be a police officer. You know, a compassionate cop who really cares about what she does. She doesn't do the job for glory or for recognition. She's really somebody who is focused on our mission of public safety, of serving our citizens of San Francisco. She really kind of paved a path for others like us. Mikayla is the first out trans woman to serve in the San Francisco Police Department.
They got a show at Please Do Passing Calls.
No job I've had, from the Army, being a lawyer, all the other jobs I've had, driving fishing boats in Alaska, semi-trucks in the Central Valley, nothing compares to being on patrol.
Do you have anything to watch?
I was up at the academy yesterday for the class, so if you have a gun and you put the caliber and make and model in the boxes, also put it in the narrative. She doesn't want to see the narrative. It can be surprising, shocking, it can be amazingly funny, it can be super gross, it can be violent, it can be heartbreaking, it can be everything because it's a lot of the human experience.
Okay, dismissed.
San Francisco is an iconic city. It's Baghdad by the Bay, as according to Herb Caen. It's a city that's torn up by its own politics internally. It's a really interesting mix of old traditions and progressive new ideas. A swirling, chaotic mix of everything that people have in them. The good, the bad, the crazy, the traditional, everything all in one place. The Tenderloin is a neighborhood immediately adjacent to downtown, and it is the center right now of drug dealing and the buying and selling of stolen goods for San Francisco. It's also a center for violence, gun violence, stabbings, all of that kind of stuff.
Screams echoing through the street in San Francisco's Tenderloin district.
The man in the Santa cap firing several times into the Dodge.
84 people arrested in the Tenderloin in the last week.
60 people a month or more dying from drug overdose now in San Francisco.
But that stabbing is now calling into question the safety of social workers.
These aren't problems that belong to the Tenderloin. These are societal problems that society has shoved into the Tenderloin because the Tenderloin is poor. So society accepts these problems existing better among the poor. This is where everything gets concentrated. So I chose to come to the Tenderloin because right now, it's where the fight is on for the soul of our city. Like, what are we going to be as a city? Are we going to have the rule of law? Are we going to be compassionate? Are we going to find a way to deal with addiction constructively? Are we going to try and arrest our way out of it, which we know we can't do? The drug war is a farce. But at the same time, you can't let the drugs go unchecked because they kill hundreds and hundreds of people. And everything that's happening in San Francisco right now really ends up being centered here because this is where it's happening. This is where the dealers are selling. This is where the addicts are dying. This is where the stolen goods are being pawned. This is where it's happening.
Historic move in San Francisco, the city, now the first in the Bay Area to declare itself a sanctuary for transgender people. Tonight, advocates saying it could not come at a more critical time.
San Francisco is arguably one of the most diverse departments in the country, if not the world. Being a hub for LGBT people, we had a lot of people who served quietly and secretly in the department. Police work is a notoriously masculine profession. But over the years, as the city changed, the department changed with it. As we went through into the 90s, the role of LGBTQ people in the department really grew substantially. And I wasn't even aware that there was an out trans woman in the department until I talked to one of my friends, and she told me about Mikayla. At one point, she served as the board president for San Francisco Pride, which is an organization that puts on the San Francisco Pride Parade every year. So she's done some work that's incredibly important for not only for the LGBTQ community of San Francisco, but specifically the trans community.
As I was getting towards the end of high school, my father was trying to get me to look at various colleges. So I did. I went to UC Berkeley. As I was getting towards the end of my time at Berkeley, I started thinking, what am I going to do? I applied to the Oakland Police Force, and they wisely did not take me. I was young, dumb, immature, had not figured out my gender issues yet. And then I was in a long-term relationship. It came to an end, I think, because of my gender issues, which I had been struggling with my entire life. So I joined the Army, went into the infantry, jumped out of some airplanes, ran around the woods and the deserts with guns. Actually really enjoyed myself, had a good time in the Army. And along the way, I met my now ex-wife. We got married, and I realized I didn't want to stay in the Army forever. So my then wife and my dad wanted me to have a backup plan. The FBI is pretty competitive to get into. And so I applied to one law school, my dad's alma mater, which was at that time UC Hastings Law School. Now it's just called UC Law School. Because I was doing so well, I got job offers from big firms downtown here in San Francisco. Turns out, as much as I loved law school, I really didn't enjoy the practice of law. It was financially rewarding, but it was too much. A lot of things have happened out of my control, but I chose to transition. Well, what I wanted to do ever since college was go into law enforcement. There was a job fair at the LGBT Center here in San Francisco, so I walked in on my lunch break and I said, hey, I'm 43, I'm transgender, can I even be a cop? And he said, hey, come take a walk with me. And it turns out he was himself a transgender officer, one of the trans men who came before me in this department. The idea that at 43, overweight, out of shape, Army days long since passed, that I could go to an academy and pass. I started running every day. I think I lost 70 pounds over the next year. It took a little over a year, but by the time I was 45, I had been accepted into the academy and I started. And that's how I got here.
She was really instrumental in me coming back. She put a lot of my worries and my fears at ease. I've never heard a single person say a bad thing about her. Only heard great things about her work ethic, her skills as an officer, and that really set her up as she went forward, and because of that, she was the first out trans woman to be promoted to the rank of sergeant. She just knuckles down and does the work, and that's why people respect her, because she's a cop first, and she's a good cop.
They're 1053 market, 410 with an angel.
This job will take everything you have and test it. It will put everything on the line. Your physical ability, your mental ability, your social ability, your compassion, your ruthlessness, your problem-solving ability. Come on, wake up, stay with us. Stay alive, man, stay alive. Everything that you have as a human being can be used and tested in this job. You can do it, you can do it. Come on, man, stay with us. Nope, no pulse. Oh, leave the pipe, leave the straw, leave the straw, leave the straw.
4 Narcans, man.
That's pretty close, brother. At the end of the day, when I go home, I know I used everything I possess as a human being for something bigger than me. So, what's your name? You're not under arrest. What's your name? John? J-O-N or J-O-N? And that's a level of satisfaction and fulfillment I've never gotten in any other career or job.
What I admire about Mikayla is that she is humble, and she really is. Like, she has that kind of servant mentality of like, she's here to help people. It's not about her.
That is the most Narcan I've seen given to a person who came back. I've never seen that much Narcan given to a person who came back. That was close. So there's 2 rules for life-saving. You can't save someone else if you're drowning, and you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Ultimately, it's just the truth. And yes, we saved that guy's life today, but if he doesn't really want to save his own life, then eventually he's gonna throw it away. People have to want to save themselves to actually be saved. Then you can help them. My experience is probably different than the transgender folks who came before me, the trans men who paved the way for what I went through. When I first came into the department, I really did get sort of that warm, fuzzy feeling from the department that they wanted me here and they wanted me to succeed. They had never hired an out transgender person who was already out and transgender. I was really scared. And in fact, I would say from day one, my academy classmates were my friends, my champions, my defenders. Everybody is super respectful, and I've actually had a really, really good experience at the SFPD. I want to be remembered as a legitimate street cop. I mean, I worked the mission, worked Tenderloin. I went into the streets every day and I did the job. I didn't look for an administrative position. I didn't look for an easy way out. I didn't avoid the hard areas of the city. I went to right where I thought things were the worst, and I did the best I could to make them better.
I proudly put on the uniform as I know that there are LGBTQ officers who can't be out in their uniform. We do it for those who can't.
My name is Mikayla Connell. I'm a sergeant with the San Francisco Police Department, Tenderloin Station, where I work as a patrol sergeant on swing shift.